All right, moving on to our second type of study. This is what we call a correlational study. And what this looks at is how two variables or two different characteristics of something, what the relationship between those two things are, how they're related. And there's three possible directions that correlations can take. Now, correlations can be positive. So this means that if you have two variables, so picture what I'm showing you here as a little graph with an x-axis and a y-axis. X and y are the two variables that we're looking at. As x goes up, so as you get farther right on the x-axis, y also goes up, so you get farther higher up on the y-axis. So they go together, they're hand in hand. If one goes down, the other goes down. They're positively associated. The other one, conversely, is negative association. So as x goes up, y goes down. So you'll see this as kind of a decreasing slope, as opposed to positive being an increasing slope. Now there's one other thing that could happen, and it's probably the most common actually, but there's no relationship between them. So you just might have a random assortment of data points and there's no clear pattern. So as x changes, y independently does its own thing. They're not related at all. They're not correlated. There's a zero correlation. So as some examples, one thing that might be positively correlated is someone's height and their weight. So think about some extremes here. Say you've got a toddler, a little 2-year-old, they're shorter in height and they carry some less weight compared to a full-grown adult, is the opposite. So as your height generally increases, you're putting on some more weight too. That's a positive relationship. Conversely, a negative association might be the amount of exercise you get and your weight. So if you think about this, if you don't exercise much at all, you might be a little bit more heavier. Whereas if you routinely exercise all the time, it might help you slim down. So this might be a negative relationship between the amount of exercise you get and what your weight is. An example of zero relationship could be like anything else. So for instance, your hair length and your weight, there's nothing there. I'm sure you can think of bald people, long-haired people, whoever, that are fitting in all of these categories. So there's no relationship between hair and feet. One more just to kind of think about, GPA is a common other kind of factor we look into. So positively correlated would be studying in GPA. The more you study, the higher your GPA. Negative might be absences. So the more absences you have, the less class you go to, the lower your GPA. And zero relationship, when your birthday falls, if you're a late birthday or an early birthday, it doesn't really affect your GPA at all. So there's no relationship there. So let's practice. Sometimes it's kind of fun to think about how things might be related to each other. So I want you to go through these 5 examples and think about what might be related between them, or if there's a relationship at all. So for each of these 5, I want you to tell me whether they're positively correlated, negatively correlated, or if there's no correlation at all.